The story is about an ordinary chicken named KG who loved his sister Sarah, but one day his house was attacked by a demon, and the demon ate his sister. That day, something changed inside KG, and he gained superpowers. In a flashback to a year earlier, we learn that KG was a normal chicken like everyone else. One morning, he decided that this commoner life did not suit him. He realized that he was meant to do something bigger, something more heroic. So he left his girlfriend behind and moved on. While wandering the streets, KG saw an insect flying above him. He thought the insect was mocking him. So he grabbed a small stone and threw it at the insect. The insect fell to the ground, and KG started eating it. After that, he went to drink some water from the tap, but some girls noticed him. They started making fun of him and called him a runaway chicken from the zoo, but KG glared at them because he hated kids. The girls even offered KG a chicken leg. Before KG could teach them a lesson, a group of boys grabbed him by the neck and took him away. One of the boys wanted to eat KG, but another claimed that KG might have some serious disease, so he planned to feed KG to his cat. This made KG scared, as he did not want to become a cat's breakfast. He panicked and ran away, but since the boys kept chasing him, KG decided to hide inside a house, where he ran into an old man. The boys followed him there and ordered the old man to return the chicken, but the old man remained calm and lied, saying that KG lived in his house. He knew the boys wanted to harm the poor chicken and asked them to go away. As the boys left, KG sighed with relief. He wanted to leave because he believed he had better things to do, but when the old man suddenly offered him food, KG could not resist and started eating. While eating, he noticed that the old man looked worried. The old man then explained how his late wife used to feed sparrows every morning, but now that she had passed away, he felt lonely. He regretted not retiring earlier so he could have spent more time with her. Somehow, KG understood what the old man was going through because he had also lost his sister when a demon attacked their house. He remembered how his sister begged him to save her while the demon ate her. Suddenly, they heard a loud explosion nearby. They went outside and saw people running for their lives. KG and the old man looked around and saw a demon rampaging. At the same time, the boys from earlier were also running away from the demon. The demon quickly caught up to them, and just as it was about to smash one of the boys, the old man saw this from afar. He could not watch the boy die like that, so he ran forward and shielded the boy with his body. As both of them were about to be smashed, KG pushed the demon away and saved the old man. While the old man and the boys evacuated, KG stayed behind because he knew this was his chance to take revenge on the demon that had eaten his sister. The demon then suddenly grabs a car and throws it toward KG. KG quickly dodges it by jumping up into the air. However, the demon does not stop and continues throwing a bunch of cars at him. KG manages to dodge all of them and then quickly runs toward the rampaging demon. The demon keeps attacking KG with his hands, but KG swiftly dodges all of those attacks. Then KG realizes that this demon is a bit stupid, so he jumps right on top of its head. Now the demon starts hitting himself while trying to hit KG, but KG keeps dodging every attack. As the demon is busy trying to hit KG, KG takes the chance to poke one of its eyes. As the demon cries out in pain, KG thinks of finishing him off before he can recover, so he unleashes a very powerful attack. KG's attack causes a very loud sound that forces everyone to cover their ears. As KG continues attacking the demon, the windows of all the nearby houses shatter. Soon, the demon begins to crack because of the sound waves and then suddenly explodes. As everyone is shocked by what just happened, the old man tries to explain to the kids that KG has used a phenomenon called resonance, which is basically a wavelength of strong sound that people use to break glass. However, even the old man is terrified by how KG managed to defeat such a powerful demon with sound waves. Now the old man questions who KG really is. In a flashback, we learn that when the demon attacked KG's sister, she begged KG to save her. KG was also injured, but he tried his best to save her and ended up breaking his limits, and something changed inside him. KG attacked the demon, but he was not able to damage it because he was too weak at that moment. Now, after defeating the demon, KG checks for the mark on its neck, but then he realizes that this is not the demon who ate his sister, because that demon had a mark on its neck. After that, KG sees that the old man's house has turned into a mess, so he decides to help him clean it up. After cleaning the house, the kids and the old man realize that KG has vanished. KG has already headed back to his home, to the hen he loves very much, but when he arrives, he sees that his girlfriend has already found another partner. The next morning, we see KG in a wooden bucket floating in the ocean, where a bunch of ladies are gathering sea urchins. The kind ladies then offer one of the sea urchins to KG as thanks for watching over their shared catch for the past 2.5 days, even though KG himself does not even know what he was doing. He wonders what these sea urchins are, but since he has not eaten anything proper for the past 3 days, he decides to try it, and becomes surprised to find that the sea urchin tastes delicious. At the same time, somewhere else, we see a man named Oda selling a bunch of chicks. One of them, a cheerful chick named Pyoko, is excited to be bought by someone and encourages Oda to keep going, but the other chicks are mad and annoyed. They try to bully Pyoko because they are angry at her for cheering the man who is selling off their friends. Then two girls come to look at the chicks. They want to buy them because they look so cute, but when they look at the seller, they become scared. After that, the cops show up and warn Oda that selling chicks there is not allowed. Oda becomes sad and returns to his home with all his chicks. There, he feeds the chicks but notices that Pyoko has been kicked away by the other chicks, and they are eating all the food by themselves. Oda notices Pyoko sitting all alone while the others eat everything, so he decides to take her out of the box and offer her some food. Soon, Oda starts watching a movie with Pyoko, and she notices that Oda has the same tattoo as the main actor in the movie, which makes her want to become like him. So, Pyoko asks Oda to make a tattoo on her back as well. Oda becomes happy that Pyoko wants to be like him, so he makes a tattoo on her back, telling her that it means she must protect the weak. But the next day, when Pyoko returns to the other chicks, they all make fun of her tattoo and call it stupid. Pyoko argues that it is cool. As they argue, they see Oda returning home, beaten up. Then Pyoko sees Oda apologizing to a man named Taijima because he is unable to pay off his debts to the Yakuza family, but he is glad they let him go without forcing him to sell his organs. But then Taijima offers him an idea. Taijima plans to open his own cleaning company and wants to hire Oda as the manager, which will help him earn money so he can pay back his loans. Taijima then makes Oda sign a form as a partner, which makes Oda very happy. A couple of days later, two men in black suits come to his house and demand that he pay back 3 million yen that Taijima has borrowed and run away with. This makes Oda realize that Taijima borrowed the money in Oda's name and ran away with it. This also makes Oda recall the time when his mother left him alone and never came back. Oda begins to cry as he remembers how everyone has treated him like trash and made fun of him. Soon, the sadness and grief turn Oda into a demon. At the same time, Keiji is staring inside a restaurant as a kid is about to eat some tasty sea urchins. Suddenly, a huge explosion catches Keiji's attention, caused by Oda. Keiji quickly rushes toward the explosion and finds a demon rampaging. Oda then tries to eat a bus full of people while Pyoko tries to stop him. But before Oda can eat the bus, Keiji attacks with his special move and saves everyone. Keiji prepares to attack Oda once again, but Pyoko cries and waves at Keiji not to attack. Keiji becomes confused, wondering what Pyoko is doing sitting on the demon. But when Oda tries to attack again, Keiji uses another one of his special moves and blows up Oda's head. Seeing Oda like this, Pyoko begins to cry and blames Keiji for Oda's death. But then suddenly, Pyoko notices that Oda is still alive. Seeing this makes Keiji a bit shocked, because those who turn into demons are usually destined to end in a miserable way. Then he realizes that Oda was not truly a bad person, and deep inside, he still remained a kind human. Pyoko then starts to think that Keiji was not trying to harm Oda but was trying to save him, which makes her begin to develop feelings for Keiji. But then Keiji decides to leave because he has other things to do. However, Pyoko does not follow him and chooses to stay with Oda. Oda knows he does not have much time left, so he asks Pyoko to follow her heart and go after the one she truly loves. Pyoko begins to cry as she leaves Oda behind, but then she suddenly bumps into Keiji. Keiji has no intention of keeping her around because he hates kids, so he asks her not to follow him. This makes Pyoko a bit upset, as she does not understand how someone could leave a cute chick like her behind. As she looks for him everywhere, she becomes hungry. While searching for something to eat, she runs into a big worm, but it looks too scary for her, so she decides to eat a bunch of leaves instead. While eating, she hears a noise and sees a group of people running. She falls behind and then spots a demon. She becomes terrified, not knowing what to do, but then she realizes that Keiji might be there, so she decides to follow the path. At the same time, Keiji is fighting a multi-headed demon. Pyoko sees him and cheers him on. Keiji fires his special move at the demon, blowing it up, but it quickly regenerates its body back to how it was. The demon then warns Keiji that it is futile to attack him because he is invincible and laughs at him. Keiji knows this is impossible, as every other monster he has faced so far had a weak spot in either their head or their heart, so there must be a way to defeat this demon. While Keiji is busy trying to figure out how to attack, we learn from the demon that he has secretly hidden his heart and brain inside his tail, where no one would think of attacking him. Since Keiji is unable to figure it out, he charges up all his special moves again and attacks all over the demon's body. The demon begins to panic as one of the attacks reaches his tail, and suddenly, he explodes. Seeing the demon defeated, Pyoko begins to cheer, but one of the demon's heads tries to eat her. Keiji pushes her away, and the demon ends up biting Keiji instead. As Keiji is injured and people start gathering around, Pyoko quickly takes him to a safe spot. She realizes that Keiji is exhausted, so she goes to look for some water and finds a bottle with a little water left. After giving Keiji some water, she goes to look for food and finds the same gross worm. Even though she is scared of it, she brings it to Keiji and feeds him. When the sun rises and KG opens his eyes. He is surprised that he managed to survive, all because of Pyoko's help. Later, when Pyoko wakes up, she finds that KG has already left her behind. She looks around and finds him standing on an outside AC unit. He warns her not to slow him down if she plans to stay with him, which makes Pyoko angry because KG did not even thank her for saving his life. Right then, another chicken named Elizabeth suddenly lunges at them from above with a sword. KG does not know who she is, but Elizabeth already knows him, and she is also happy that KG has not changed one bit. While they are arguing, people nearby notice the chickens and wonder what they are talking about. KG questions Elizabeth about why she is trying to kill him, but she lunges at him again. KG dodges, and Elizabeth ends up hitting a vending machine instead. Elizabeth boasts that her thunder baton sword is equipped with 10 million volts of electricity, and that she made it especially to turn KG into roasted chicken. KG is impressed, but he wants to know why she hates him so much. Elizabeth then explains that she was adopted by a wealthy family and was showered with love and affection. She had everything, but one day, a demon appeared at the mansion and tried to kill them. However, KG arrived and defeated the demon. At that very moment, Elizabeth fell in love with KG. The two of them then went to the beach and watched the sunset together. But the next hour, KG stood up and decided to leave for the next town. This made Elizabeth cry, as she had fallen deeply in love with him. Now it has been 6 months since that unfortunate day when KG broke her heart, and Elizabeth now wants revenge. At the same time, Pyoko begins to realize that Elizabeth is KG's ex-girlfriend, which makes her jealous. Elizabeth lunges forward with her sword and tries to turn KG into roasted chicken. But KG does not want to fight a girl, so he tries to dodge all of her attacks and runs away. However, Elizabeth keeps chasing KG all over the town until KG finally decides to fight back. He suddenly grabs Elizabeth and gives her a kiss, which makes her heart race. But before KG can make another move, she jolts back. Then suddenly, the cops appear, so KG picks up Pyoko and runs away with Elizabeth. As they escape, Elizabeth realizes that she still has feelings for KG, even though she had sworn to take revenge on him. As the three of them take shelter in the jungle, Elizabeth notices how annoyed and jealous Pyoko is and assumes that KG is having an affair with her. But KG tries to explain that he would never do such a thing. Later, Elizabeth tells KG that he is the only reason she abandoned her family. She wanted to become like him and take revenge for the friends she lost because of demons. But KG tells Elizabeth that he does not plan to be a hero and that his only desire is to avenge his sister's death by defeating the demon who ate her. Elizabeth then tells KG that she has collected data on demons, as she has been researching them. According to her, since demons first started appearing 3 years ago, a total of 800 demons have been spotted. Most of them seem to share the same goal of eliminating humans, but some have been seen helping humans, and a few even behave peacefully like humans. While sharing this information, Elizabeth mentions one particularly dangerous demon who appears to have 4 horns on his head. Because of his white body, people online call him the White Demon. This demon also has the ability to turn one of his hands into a phoenix. As KG looks closely at the image, he begins to notice a resemblance to his sister. However, this alone is not enough to confirm that this is the demon who ate her. Then Elizabeth adds that the White Demon can also use fire in the form of a phoenix. This reminds KG of what he saw when his house was attacked. As he takes a closer look at the demon's neck, he is shocked to find the same mark. This upsets KG's mood, and he decides to be alone for a moment. As he grows sad yet fired up to find the White Demon and avenge his sister, Elizabeth takes him to a hot spring. There, Elizabeth learns that KG is afraid of water, which shocks her. KG tries to defend himself by saying that animals who live on land do not need to learn how to swim, but Elizabeth knows this is just an excuse to avoid water, so she pushes him into the hot spring. KG begins to panic as if he is drowning, but he soon realizes that the water is not that deep. Elizabeth then brings a towel, places it on his head, and sits beside him, which makes Pyoko a bit jealous, causing her to move a little away from KG. Elizabeth then suddenly notices a strange marking on Pyoko's back that is slowly getting washed away. Pyoko tells Elizabeth that it was written by her father, Oda, to remind her that she must always fight for the weak. This makes Pyoko tear up as she begins to recall Oda, and she runs away. Soon, KG's body begins to burn after staying in the hot spring for too long. Right then, a mud demon suddenly appears in front of them. KG jumps back, ready to eliminate it, but the demon turns out to be Elizabeth. We learn that she has taken a mud bath, which is said to boost skin health, as she desperately wants to look good for KG. When KG is staring at the water, Elizabeth asks if something is bothering him. KG remembers the demon who attacked and ate his sister, but now he thinks the White Demon might not be the same one, as it looks a bit different. He also considers that he may have mistaken the White Demon's phoenix for his sister Sarah. According to KG, the phoenix could not be Sarah because it was on fire. But then, in a flashback, we learn that one day when a dog attacked Sarah, KG shielded her and got injured. which made Sarah angry and triggered something inside her. As Sarah stared at the dog, it suddenly caught on fire. Even so, KG is still unsure if the white demon is the one he is looking for. Elizabeth then suggests that the white demon might have evolved since that time, and the mark on its neck is proof that it is the one who ate Sarah. She believes that catching the white demon will provide them with more answers, so she wants to find him. She searches online and finds that he was recently seen in Tokyo. But soon, they come to their senses and realize that Pyoko is missing. KG uses his extraordinary sense of smell to track her. Meanwhile, a cat is running away with Pyoko in its mouth. Pyoko begins to cry and starts kicking the cat, causing it to lose its grip. She falls to the ground and quickly takes the chance to run inside a water pipe. Soon, KG and Elizabeth arrive there to confront the burglar cat, but before KG can blow the cat away, a bunch of kittens appear. They then learn that the mother cat was just trying to feed Pyoko to her hungry kittens. Elizabeth then lays an egg right there so the kittens can feed themselves. Soon, Elizabeth notices that the mother cat has a collar, meaning she has an owner. They then learn that, because of a demon, all the people in this neighborhood, including her owner, have been affected and have lost their minds. That demon is currently residing in a mansion and is forcing all the people to dig holes, while all the children in the neighborhood are confined in a storage room without proper food. One of them is Sei. He understands that they must escape before they starve to death. They use a wooden chair to break the door, which makes a loud sound and alerts KG and the others. As Sei holds down one of the zombified men, another one shows up with a gun. Suddenly, both of them get electrocuted by Elizabeth. She then takes out her smartphone and starts typing in Japanese to instruct the kids to tie the two zombified men before they wake up. The kids are shocked and impressed that a chicken who can use a smartphone exists. Sei then ties the two men and runs toward his home. The cat then helps Elizabeth and KG follow them, because the chickens are unable to see clearly at night. At Sei's house, Elizabeth asks why no help from outside the village has arrived yet. Sei tells her that it is because the demon has controlled all the policemen in the village. After that, Sei finds some chicken noodles left in the kitchen and cooks them for everyone. After eating, Elizabeth asks KG if they should pay a visit to the demon causing all this trouble. However, since this demon does not have 4 horns on its head, KG refuses to fight him because he only wants to fight the 4-horned white demon. But soon, KG feels the urge to have some action with Elizabeth, so she makes a deal with him. If he wants to fight with her, he first needs to defeat the demon of this village. Soon, everyone falls asleep, waiting for the next sunrise. But the next morning, Elizabeth finds that Sei is missing. The other kids tell the chickens that Sei must have gone to the demon's mansion, because the demon is actually his father. Before turning into a demon, Sei's father was a gambler who wanted to become rich with one jackpot. One day, he stumbled upon a box filled with a few coins and a scroll. Sei's father studied the scroll thoroughly and learned that a long time ago, a group of bandits had buried 10,000 coins, which in today's money are worth over 10 billion yen. Because of this, he started digging holes all over the village. He dug for a year straight, but nothing was found. Because of his obsession, he eventually turned into a demon that resembled a pocket covered with zippers. Now, all he can think about is acquiring money. Suddenly, KG and Elizabeth appear there to fight the demon. The demon opens one of the zippers on his forehead. Elizabeth senses something is wrong and warns KG not to look, but Pyoko gets hypnotized by the light and starts digging. Elizabeth becomes furious at the demon, as he is so obsessed with money that he forces others to work for him and find the treasure. She tries to attack the demon with her thunder baton, but her 10 million volts are not enough to even scratch him, while KG keeps the demon busy, trying to defeat him. The zipper demon digs his hand into the ground and throws mud at KG. KG dodges, but just as the demon is about to finish him with a punch, the sound of gold coins distracts the demon. He has accidentally dug into the very spot where the treasure was hidden. At that moment, Elizabeth rushes toward an electricity tower, knowing this is the only way to defeat the demon without killing Sei's father. She connects her thunder baton to the high-voltage electrical wires and delivers a massive electric shock to the zipper demon. After that, they want KG to attack the demon's head with his special move, and he defeats the demon. As the demon collapses, he also pulls the gold coins back into the ground. The villagers then return to normal. But the fight is not over yet. KG wants to fight Elizabeth because they made a promise the previous night. However, Elizabeth breaks her promise and refuses to have anything to do with the likes of KG. This makes KG very frustrated. He wants to take his anger out on Sei's father, who has now returned to his human form. But because of Sei, KG does not harm him and instead swiftly leaves for the next town with Elizabeth and Pyoko. But then we see a YouTuber named Ibukuro secretly recording KG and Elizabeth As he uploads the video online, it goes viral with over 1 million views. KG and Elizabeth become famous and recognizable to people, but Ibukuro does not plan to stop at just one video. He wants to catch KG and Elizabeth and make another video. At the same time, KG and Elizabeth are being hunted by a group of thugs, as capturing them would earn a big profit. KG and Elizabeth somehow manage to get away from them. Elizabeth is scared that the thugs may have bad intentions or might sell them to a circus. She suggests that they should hide for a while, but KG is not the kind of chicken who hides. He leaves them behind and heads back into the open streets because he does not fear humans and knows how to protect himself. But Pyoko cannot stay back and decides to go and find KG. Soon, KG arrives at a gaming hub and becomes curious about what these humans are playing on these machines. He goes inside the game hub and finds people playing games with money to earn more money. Suddenly, he hears the voice of a man inside his head. KG soon learns that the man playing the game is not a human, but a demon named Morio. Morio asks KG not to stare at him like he wants to fight, because he is not interested in fighting. Instead, Morio invites KG to try the game. KG gives it a try and soon becomes addicted to earning money, but the manager approaches them and tells Morio to take his chicken pet out of the shop. Even so, Morio is very happy because he made a lot of money with just a single coin he had found on the street. KG is shocked and demands that Morio buy him sea urchins at a restaurant, but Morio feels bad for making so much money with just one coin, so he decides to return the money to the shop owner. However, KG manages to convince him to keep the money and buy some sea urchins instead. But as soon as he eats them, KG finds them disgusting, as the freshly picked raw sea urchins tasted much better to him compared to the cooked ones. Because of this, KG passes out. When he wakes up, he finds himself in a small hut made of a few tree branches that the demon calls his home. KG asks where Morio's parents are. Morio tells KG that his father was a man who had recently discovered he had cancer. This news shocked him, and he started crying as he recalled how he had never had a girlfriend in his 47 years of life and had never truly lived a good life. He wanted to die, but at the same time, he wanted to live. Suddenly, Morio was born from the man's desire to keep living. Morio told the man to end his life, as he would continue living in his place. But then the man received a phone call from the hospital and learned that the doctors had mixed up his reports with someone else, and that he did not have cancer. After this, the man wanted to live again and ran away, leaving Morio behind. When Morio returned to town, he was bullied by people. They called him a demon and chased him away. Because of starvation and depression, Morio's size eventually shrank to that of a normal person. Back in the present, KG tells Morio to continue living on, because there is no such thing as a meaningless life. Morio becomes happy and offers KG some alcohol, but KG ends up vomiting. After vomiting, KG suddenly starts dancing, which makes Morio laugh. After meeting Morio, KG realizes that good demons also exist in their world, and Morio is a living example. Soon, KG leaves for his next destination, but he begins to worry about Elizabeth and Pyoko as he notices that a heavy storm is on its way toward the city. Pyoko is still searching for KG while getting soaked in the rain. Elizabeth becomes worried and asks Pyoko to stop searching and take shelter, but when Elizabeth calls KG a horrible person for leaving them behind, Pyoko gets angry and lashes out at her for always bullying him. Suddenly, they are noticed by a girl named Misuzu passing by. Misuzu takes Elizabeth and Pyoko to her house, but Elizabeth does not expect the girl to be so poor that her house is leaking from the roof. Elizabeth then uses her smartphone to introduce herself to Misuzu, and Misuzu is surprised by how smart Elizabeth is to be able to use a phone. Elizabeth asks if her parents are not home, and Misuzu tells her that her parents passed away in a car accident, so she now lives with her sick grandfather. After washing the dishes, Misuzu resumes her studies. She wants to become a doctor in the future so that she can treat her sick grandfather for free. But Elizabeth grows worried and warns Misuzu and her grandfather to evacuate the area because the rainfall is very heavy and their house is located near a river. However, the grandfather says that in his 85 years of living there, he has never experienced a flood. At midnight, a man knocks on their door and warns Misuzu to evacuate because a flood is about to reach them. Misuzu takes her grandfather in a wheelchair, and as they arrive near the evacuation center, the flood begins to approach. Misuzu and Elizabeth try to push the wheelchair up the hill, but it is too heavy for them. Then Pyoko realizes that Elizabeth is actually a good chicken. Despite bullying KG, she has been helping everyone. Pyoko joins in to push the wheelchair, and something inside her changes as she gains the strength to finally push it out of the flood's path and safely reach the evacuation center. At the same time, Morio becomes worried about KG. Suddenly, he feels heavy vibrations and notices that the dam is about to break. Since the town is surrounded by mountains on all sides, it will be completely submerged in water. Ebukuro is still searching for KG and Elizabeth, as he believes finding them is the key to becoming successful. The next morning, while everyone is resting at the evacuation center, a man informs them that the dam is about to collapse due to heavy rainfall of over 100 millimeters. They realize that if the dam breaks, the entire town will be underwater within hours. Elizabeth searches for the dam's location on her phone so she can try to stop it from breaking. Meanwhile, Morio heads to the dam area. Seeing that it is about to collapse, he transforms his body in an attempt to hold it together. Elizabeth and Pyoko head toward the dam, and when they arrive, they find the demon Morio holding the dam together. The YouTuber Bakuro also shows up and decides to record Morio. People at the evacuation center turn on the TV and learn that the demon Morio is trying to hold the dam from collapsing. Morio sees Elizabeth, Pyoko, and Ibukuro on the dam and asks them to evacuate. But Elizabeth does not understand why a demon is trying to save the town. At the same time, Ibukuro begins to realize that this demon is helping people without expecting anything in return. Suddenly, the concrete beneath Ibukuro starts to crack, and he falls. But Keiji appears and pushes him toward the side railing, saving his life. Morio is happy to see Keiji there, and Keiji praises him for his efforts to save thousands of people. But suddenly, a strong stream of water pushes Morio back into the river. Keiji tells Elizabeth and Pyoko to return to a safe place, and he runs ahead to stop the flood. Keiji cannot let Morio's efforts go to waste, knowing he risked his life to save everyone. He rushes ahead of the water stream and unleashes his special move into the side of the mountain, breaking it and redirecting the water away from the town. Ibukuro continues the live stream as everyone in the evacuation center watches Keiji trying to block the flood. But the flood is too strong and breaks through the wall of stones. Keiji does not give up. He rushes ahead of the flood again and starts firing his special move at a huge boulder. Elizabeth quickly realizes that Keiji is trying to cut the giant boulder in half so he can use it to block the waterway and stop the flood. The boulder is too thick. Suddenly, a small stone hits Keiji, injuring him. But even then, he continues attacking. Keiji finally manages to cut the boulder in half, but it gets stuck between the sides of the river. The water passes through it, swallowing Keiji. As everyone begins to think Keiji is gone, the water suddenly starts to boil. Keiji uses his ultimate special move and manages to drop the boulder into place, finally blocking the water. Injured, Keiji begins to worry about Morio, thinking he has lost him. But then we see that Morio has been swept to the side of the river and is still alive. Morio waves from across the river, and Keiji feels relieved to see him alive. Keiji promises that they will share a meal when he returns. But as Keiji leaves, a beautiful female demon appears near Morio. She transforms her arm into a drill and attacks him. The next morning, a group of pigeons approach Keiji after seeing him on the internet and thinking he is cool. The pigeons make a strange request, asking Keiji to go on a triple date with them, since one of their friends is busy with a delivery job. Keiji has no interest in dating pigeons, but Elizabeth encourages him to give it a try and help them out. However, when Keiji shows up for the date, the three pigeons start making fun of him, as they have never heard of him despite his viral fame. They call him disgusting and throw insults at him. Keiji gets tired of their behavior and walks away, but this makes the pigeons more interested in him, as they like nonchalant boys like Keiji. However, Elizabeth becomes jealous and exposes Keiji by calling him a playboy. Later, while they are sitting on a bench in a park, Pyoko is about to fall, but a mysterious demon lady saves her and asks Keiji to take better care of Pyoko before walking away. Elsewhere, a group of demons is bullying two chickens named Grunts and Kisuke. Grunts becomes their hostage and tells Kisuke to run away and find help. Kisuke has no choice but to leave. After traveling for about 100 kilometers, Keiji and the others decide to camp by a river. Elizabeth catches a fish and cooks it. When the fish is ready, Keiji becomes greedy and wants more. Elizabeth argues with him to be satisfied with what he has, and Pyoko offers half of her portion, but Keiji eats all of it, which makes Pyoko upset. As Keiji and Elizabeth continue searching for the white demon, they learn that it has been spotted a few days after its last appearance in Tokyo, which is still about 200 kilometers away. But then they notice that Pyoko is missing again. Somewhere else, 3 lizards are bullying a smaller lizard, forcing him to bring food for them. Suddenly, Pyoko arrives and saves the small lizard, but as she starts making fun of the leader, something strange happens, and he transforms into a huge demon. Pyoko runs for her life, but just as the demon is about to attack her, Keiji and Elizabeth arrive and defeat it. Instead of feeling relieved, Pyoko becomes upset, as she feels useless and believes she is only a burden to them. Keiji and Elizabeth notice that it's been 1 month of them traveling together, and Pyoko still hasn't grown in size, which is strange. Suddenly Kisuke appears. He has been searching for Keiji all this time. He calls him Big Brother, and then collapses unconscious. In a flashback to 5 days earlier, we see Kisuke walking with his chicken father, Grunts, searching for demons. Suddenly, they spot a girl being attacked by a big-headed demon. Just then, a boy named Hikari walks up to the demon and defeats it with a single finger. Strangely, Hikari takes the demon away with him. Grunts and Kisuke follow him to a warehouse, where they discover that Hikari has captured many demons and is keeping them there. Hikari returns with another friend. He already knows knows he is being followed and even recognizes them as chickens from the legendary Gashikidori family. We then learn from Hikari and his friend Yuji that they are devils, a race above demons. Hikari orders his captured demons to attack Kiyasuke. Kiyasuke manages to fight them off easily, but Yuji suddenly turns his hand into a machine gun and starts firing, eventually injuring him. However, Hikari stops Yuji, as they are not supposed to kill the chickens but capture them alive. This is when Kiyasuke is forced to leave his father behind and run for his life. Now, he must save his father, but he cannot fight the devils alone. This reminds him of the day his father told him about his older half-brother. Realizing this, Kiyasuke begins searching for his brother. He eventually finds a video online of a chicken, and starts following every place Keiji has traveled, finally locating him in Tokyo. Keiji wakes up after resting for 2 days. When Kiyasuke confronts him and tries to remind him of their past, Keiji only recalls that his father had another wife who gave birth to Kiyasuke. This makes Kiyasuke his half-brother. However, when Kiyasuke asks Keiji to help save their father from the demons, Keiji refuses. He claims he has no relation with grunts because grunts abandoned him and his mother. His mother could not withstand the heartbreak and died after giving birth to Sarah. Keiji now blames his father for his mother's death and hates him for it. He calls their father terrible names, which makes Kiyasuke angry. Because of this, Keiji and Kiyasuke start fighting. What shocks everyone is that Keiji seems to struggle against Kiyasuke, appearing slower and sloppier. Keiji refuses to admit he is weaker, so Kiyasuke uses one of his special moves. He increases his speed with blue fire and launches a powerful kick, sending Keiji flying. Kiyasuke feels disappointed after seeing how weak Keiji really is. He did not expect this and realizes they might not be able to defeat the devils even if they team up. However, he has no other option. As Keiji sits there feeling defeated, Kiyasuke suddenly appears behind him, not to attack but to explain. He says they must save their father because if he dies, the world will fall into chaos and demons will take over. Elizabeth becomes curious and asks about their family. Kiyasuke explains that he, Keiji, and their father are descendants of the legendary Gashikidori family, who were mainly responsible for dealing with demons. Keiji is confused because he never knew he belonged to such a family. Still angry, he refuses to help Kiyasuke, but Elizabeth decides to help instead. First, she checks what kind of demons and devils Kiyasuke fought. While searching online, she finds a picture of their demon friend Morio rampaging through a city. They head to the city to find Morio, but instead run into an octopus demon. Kiyasuke and Keiji prepare to attack, but Elizabeth quickly searches online and discovers that this octopus demon is actually one of the good ones and has helped people before. She stops them before they can harm it, and uses her wires to restrain the creature. At the same time, a crow demon watches them and returns to Hikari and Yuji, who are torturing grunts. When Hikari learns that Kiyasuke has brought 2 more chickens with him, he becomes pleased, as he wants to defeat them as well to impress his devil mother. At the same time, while Elizabeth and the others try to calm down the octopus demon, Pyoko suddenly hits him on the head and tells him to get back to his senses, as they all know the octopus demon is a good demon. Then, a small demon crawls out of the octopus's head. Keiji quickly defeats it with a kick, and they discover that the octopus demon was being mind-controlled by the small demon inside his head. As the octopus returns to his senses, he asks Elizabeth and the others to untie him because he feels uncomfortable. They untie the octopus, and he immediately feels better. He thanks the chickens for saving his life, and then he recognizes Kiyasuke from before, as he was still able to see despite being controlled by the mind-controlling demon. After that, he explains how Hikari had attacked him and left a small demon inside his head. When the octopus calls the parasitic demon disgusting, Pyoko reminds him that he does not look much better than the parasite either, which makes the octopus laugh. Kiyasuke and Elizabeth understand from this that the devils are using these parasites to mind-control good demons and turn them evil. Now that they realize this, Elizabeth shows a picture of Morio to the octopus and asks if he has been seen around the area. The octopus demon says he saw Morio being kept inside a warehouse. He also tells them that the devils are searching for something, though he is not sure what it is. Keiji wants to go to the warehouse and free Morio. Pyoko also wants to accompany him, even though she knows she will not be of much help. She still wants to be useful to Keiji. However, Kiyasuke tells them not to go there because the devils are far stronger, and if Keiji could not even defeat Kiyasuke, then how could he hope to defeat the devils? But Keiji says his strength does not matter because he only wants to save his best friend. Seeing Keiji's determination, Kiyasuke also decides to save his father and fight the devils. However, Elizabeth tells Keiji to move ahead without her because she has to meet someone important. She goes to meet her owner, who apparently also speaks chicken language. There, it is revealed that Elizabeth has asked her owner to create a special combat device that will help her fight the bad demons. Meanwhile, Keiji, Kiyusuke, and Pyoko arrive at the warehouse. As they head inside, they find Hikari and Yuji standing there, as if they had been waiting for them all along. Keiji tries to attack Hikari, but Hikari is far too fast for him. Keiji angrily asks where Morio is. This reminds Hikari that his devil mother had already warned them to defeat the chicken who comes looking for Morio because he could become a threat to them. Hikari wants to know why Keiji wants to save a demon when their family's main goal is to eradicate all demons. Keiji wants to save Morio because he knows Morio has a pure heart, and he must have suffered while destroying the human town he worked so hard to protect. Hikari lies and says that he will free Morio, but first they must play a game of death by fighting their demons. All of a sudden, a large group of demons attacks Keiji. Keiji dodges the demons while searching for an opening to use his ultimate move, while Kiyusuke attacks the demons with his special blue fire technique. After that, he runs outside the warehouse while the demons chase after him. Kiyusuke then uses another special rotating attack to send all the demons flying back into the warehouse. As every monster gathers around Pyoko, Kiyusuke, and Keiji tries to use his ultimate move, but suddenly Elizabeth arrives and shoots the demons with her special gun. Apparently, the gun does not kill demons but instead paralyzes them for 3 days. Hikari and Yuji see Elizabeth joining forces with the other 3 chickens, so Hikari decides to increase the number of demons on his side as well. He immediately summons 3 demons, including Morio. The others are shocked to see Morio there. Keiji tries to talk to him, but Morio does not listen and attacks them instead. Keiji leaves the other 2 large demons to Elizabeth and Kiyusuke while he begins attacking Morio with his special move. Pyoko fears that Keiji might kill Morio, but Keiji explains that he only wants to destroy the parasite demon inside Morio. Suddenly, Pyoko comes up with a plan. She wants to enter Morio's head and defeat the parasite from the inside in order to free Morio from the mind control. Keiji thinks it is too dangerous and worries that Pyoko might die fighting the parasite, but Pyoko believes she will be alright as long as Keiji is by her side. Pyoko climbs onto Keiji's back, and he starts climbing onto Morio. Pyoko tells him to get close to Morio's nose so she can enter his body from there. However, Morio keeps trying to smash them away, preventing them from getting close to his nose. This frustrates both Keiji and Pyoko. Keiji thinks about asking Elizabeth to paralyze Morio first so he will stop moving. At the same time, Elizabeth is fighting a giant eye demon. At first, her gun does not work on the demon, but Elizabeth increases the weapon's output and fires again, finally making the demon unable to move. Meanwhile, Kiyusuke is dealing with the 3rd giant fish demon. He attacks it with his heavenly explosive kick and defeats it. Back with Morio, the octopus demon suddenly grabs Morio and restrains him tightly, preventing him from moving. He tells Pyoko to hurry inside Morio's nose while he keeps Morio pinned down. Pyoko bravely enters through Morio's nose. As she moves deeper inside, she discovers a small hole leading toward the brain. She climbs upward and eventually reaches the brain section. Outside the hole, she finds the parasite controlling Morio. The parasite is much larger than her, making her afraid, but she knows she must save Morio. She attacks the parasite demon, but the creature simply throws her away. Pyoko keeps trying to fight back and becomes heavily injured in the process. Just as she begins to lose hope, she notices a feather from Keiji that she had kept with her as a symbol of hope. She slowly stands back up and notices something strange. The parasite demon has not moved from its position because it is directly connected to Morio's brain. Realizing this weakness, Pyoko quickly runs behind the parasite and stabs it with a sharp nail. The demon gets injured and lashes out with its tentacles, striking Pyoko and knocking her to the ground. As everyone believes Pyoko has been defeated, she suddenly opens her eyes, revealing a mark similar to the one on the white demon's neck, which gives us a hint that Pyoko has also unlocked one of the legendary powers. While at the same time, Kiyusuke and Elizabeth teamed up to paralyze every demon. However, they tried their best not to injure or kill any of them because those demons were actually good. But suddenly, Yuji raised his machine gun arm and mercilessly opened fire on all the demons around him. Elizabeth was shocked and confused. She could not understand why Yuji was attacking the very demons who were supposed to be on his side. But according to Yuji, demons were nothing more than disposable tools for the devils. The moment they stopped being useful, they deserved to be thrown away and destroyed. Before Kiyusuke could even respond, Yuji's body began transforming into his true devil form. The moment Kiyusuke saw Yuji in that state, fear instantly crawled down his spine. The terrifying aura radiating from Yuji was unlike anything he had ever felt before. It was so overwhelming that his instincts screamed at him to run away. Before either he or Elizabeth could react, Yuji transformed his machine gun arm into a rocket launcher and fired a missile directly at them. Kiyusuke barely managed to dodge in time, but Elizabeth was caught in the explosion and violently thrown away by the blast. Her body crashed into the ground, leaving her unable to move, but Yuji showed no mercy. He continued firing rockets non-stop, one after another, as if he possessed endless ammunition. Kiyusuke desperately dodged every missile while explosions endlessly shook the battlefield. Using the thick smoke created by the blasts, he attempted a surprise attack from behind. But Yuji was far too powerful. Even when Kiyusuke managed to land a direct kick on him, it did not leave even the slightest scratch. At that moment, Kiyusuke finally realized the horrifying truth. Yuji was an opponent he could never defeat alone. Watching from afar, Elizabeth became deeply worried for Kiyusuke. Despite her injuries, she forced herself to aim her paralysis gun at Yuji, hoping to help somehow. But the instant Yuji sensed her gaze, he immediately launched another missile toward her. Elizabeth froze in pure terror. Her body refused to move. Death was right in front of her eyes. Suddenly, KG appeared, grabbed her, and leaped away just before the missile exploded. Without hesitation, KG decided to fight Yuji himself. Elizabeth desperately tried to warn him that Yuji was no ordinary demon, but KG refused to listen. KG charged forward and kicked Yuji with all his strength, but the attack did not even tickle him. Yuji casually grabbed KG and hurled him away like a ragdoll, slamming him violently into the ground and badly injuring him. Kiyusuke rushed forward and tried to warn KG not to fight the devil alone, but KG stubbornly refused to team up with him. To KG, accepting help was worse than death itself. Meanwhile, Pyoko found herself trapped within complete darkness. Believing she had died and entered the afterlife, she began crying helplessly, heartbroken by the thought that she would never see KG again. Then suddenly, she heard the voice of a boy echoing through the darkness. Two strange glowing eyes slowly appeared before her. The mysterious boy claimed that he was finally free, and before Pyoko could even understand what was happening, he took control of her body. The moment it happened, the strange boy effortlessly defeated the parasite demon with terrifying ease. Back on the battlefield, KG desperately tried dodging while Yuji continued bombarding him with endless missiles. Explosions covered the battlefield non-stop. But as the fight continued, Kiyusuke quickly realized something strange. Yuji was merely playing with them. He had intentionally reduced the firepower of his missiles just to drag the battle out longer and enjoy their suffering. However, after attacking non-stop for so long, Yuji's missile launcher suddenly stopped working. For the first time, both Kiyusuke and KG realized that Yuji's ammunition was not truly infinite. Even he had limits. As Yuji searched for his supplements, a collection of explosives he consumed to replenish his ammo, Kiyusuke immediately realized this was their perfect opportunity to strike back. But before he could move, he suddenly noticed KG high up in the sky. With a furious roar, KG unleashed his special attack directly on Yuji. The attack began destroying Yuji from the inside, tearing apart his body internally. At the same moment, Kiyusuke landed a critical blow on Yuji as well. For a brief moment, both of them believed they had finally defeated the devil. But despite all their efforts, Yuji's body regenerated back to normal right before their eyes. Everyone stood frozen in complete shock. Yuji calmly explained that he possessed something known as the black metal memory, an ability that restored his body back to its original shape, no matter how horribly damaged or disfigured he became. This terrifying power practically made Yuji immortal. After saying that, Yuji casually swallowed a large amount of explosives, instantly replenishing his ammunition once again. Seeing this, Kiyusuke finally understood Yuji's weakness. Yuji needed to consume explosives in order to continue producing ammo. Without them, he could not keep fighting forever. For the first time since the battle began, Kiyusuke felt a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Yuji could still be defeated. Moments later, multiple tracking missiles were launched toward KG and Kiyusuke, relentlessly chasing them across the battlefield no matter where they ran. KG quickly rushed toward a nearby wall and cleverly let the missile crash into it instead. The explosion shook the entire area, but he escaped unharmed. Kiyusuke immediately copied KG's strategy and managed to destroy the missile chasing him as well. But before they could even catch their breath, Yuji unleashed even more missiles. The battlefield instantly turned into chaos once again. Both KG and Kiyusuke sprinted with everything they had, desperately trying to avoid the endless barrage chasing after them. Explosions echoed non-stop behind them, destroying everything in their path. But as Kiyusuke continued running, a terrifying realization suddenly crossed his mind. At this rate, they would collapse from exhaustion long before Yuji ever ran out of ammo. While KG remained focused on finding a way to defeat Yuji, he noticed something strange. Yuji's left shoulder seemed to act as the main core connected to the missile launcher. KG immediately understood that destroying that core might be the only way to stop the endless bombardment. Then suddenly, a risky plan formed in his mind. KG grabbed a small metal pipe from the ground and charged directly toward Yuji without hesitation. As he approached, he unleashed his special move once again. But instead of reacting seriously, Yuji only laughed at him mockingly. At the same time, one of the tracking missiles locked onto KG and flew straight toward him. The missile eventually crashed into Yuji and exploded violently, covering everything in flames and smoke. Yet when the smoke cleared, Yuji stood there completely unharmed. Elizabeth and Kiyusuke stared in horror, fearing that KG had sacrificed himself for nothing. But right before Yuji could launch another attack, something shocking happened. KG suddenly emerged from inside Yuji's missile launcher itself. Only then did everyone realize the truth. KG had never never used his special move on Yuji. Instead, he had used it on the metal pipe. The pipe had become a delayed explosive powerful enough to destroy Yuji from the inside. Without wasting another second, KG shoved the pipe deeper into the missile launcher before jumping away. An instant later, the pipe exploded violently inside the launcher, completely blowing apart Yuji's left arm. Since KG was already heavily injured, he immediately shouted for Kiyasuke to attack now while they still had the chance. Kiyasuke gathered all his strength and unleashed his explosive kick. The impact was monstrous. A massive explosion erupted across the battlefield, completely blasting Yuji's body into countless pieces. Flesh and metal scattered everywhere as silence finally filled the battlefield. For a brief moment, everyone believed the battle was finally over. But then, Hikari suddenly appeared. Looking at Yuji's destroyed remains, Hikari coldly called him a fool for underestimating the chickens of the Gashikadori family. Then a flashback from 1 year ago appeared. It was revealed that grunts had awakened the hidden power sleeping inside Kiyasuke. He explained that almost every member of the Gashikadori family possessed a mysterious egg inside their body. That egg vibrated at an unbelievable speed, generating terrifying amounts of energy. If used correctly, the power was so destructive that it could even obliterate an entire mountain. Back in the present, Elizabeth demanded to know what the devils were truly trying to achieve by spreading so much chaos throughout the world. At first, Hikari had no intention of answering, but after witnessing their strength, he decided to reveal his plan as a final reward before killing them. Hikari explained that both he and his mother were creating more devils because devils themselves were extremely rare. Elizabeth was horrified and immediately asked how such a thing was even possible. Hikari then revealed the truth behind the parasite demon. The parasite used powerful demons with high potential as candidates capable of evolving from demons into devils. Once infected, the parasite would terraform the inside of the demon's body, dramatically increasing both their intelligence and power. However, demons who lacked the necessary potential would fail the transformation and simply become mindless servants of the devils instead. But the revelation that shocked the Gashikadori chickens the most was yet to come. Hikari revealed that there were other devils besides him and his mother who were secretly transforming demons into devils across the world. The scale of the threat was far bigger than they had imagined. Despite his injuries, KG slowly stood up once again and prepared to fight Hikari. But Kiyasuke could already tell that KG's body had reached its limit. There was no way he could stand against someone even stronger than Yuji. Kiyasuke quickly told Elizabeth to take KG away while she still could. Then, without hesitation, Kiyasuke charged straight toward Hikari himself. But Hikari was overwhelmingly fast. In a single instant, Hikari disappeared from sight and slashed Kiyasuke across the chest with his razor-sharp blades. Blood sprayed through the air as Kiyasuke staggered backward in pain. Hikari calmly warned him not to underestimate him. After all, he was the one who had transformed Yuji into a devil in the first place. Since Hikari was technically Yuji's father, his power far surpassed Yuji's. Even after hearing that terrifying truth, Kiyasuke refused to back down. He unleashed his explosive kick once again, the very same attack that had obliterated Yuji moments earlier. But what shocked everyone was that Hikari blocked the attack with barely any effort at all. Not even the massive explosion could force him to move back. Hikari immediately recognized Kiyasuke's hidden potential because he already knew about the special egg inside his body. With a cold smile, Hikari told Kiyasuke to stop holding back and attack him with everything he had, otherwise, he would kill him instantly. Kiyasuke's eyes widened in shock. He could not believe Hikari already knew the secret of the egg, but at the same time, he remembered the warning his father grunts had once given him. Kiyasuke could safely use only up to threefold of the egg's power. That was the absolute limit his body could handle. If he pushed beyond that limit, his body would explode like a bomb from the overwhelming energy. But staring at the monster standing before him, Kiyasuke realized something painful. He no longer had the luxury of holding back. Kiyasuke slowly began releasing the power of the egg inside his body. At first, he pushed it past his normal limit and activated the fourth fold. The pressure instantly started tearing his body apart, but Kiyasuke refused to stop. Then he increased it even further. Fifth fold, sixth fold, seventh fold, eighth fold, ninth fold. Blood started flowing from his mouth as his entire body trembled violently. His muscles were breaking apart from the overwhelming energy, but even then, Kiyasuke kept pushing forward. Finally, he reached the impossible 10th fold. The power exploding out of his body was so terrifying that even the ground beneath him started cracking apart. Kiyasuke knew very well that his body was about to explode at any second, so before that could happen, he gathered all the energy into one final attack. With a desperate scream, Kiyasuke launched his 10th fold explosive kick directly at Hikari. A massive explosion swallowed the entire battlefield. Suddenly, another explosion blasted Kiyasuke away before he could even see what happened. His broken body rolled across the ground as smoke covered everything. Then slowly, a figure appeared from inside the smoke. Hikari, completely unharmed. Not even a single scratch could be seen on his body. Elizabeth froze in fear the moment she saw Hikari's true devil form. The pressure coming from him was so terrifying that her entire body shook uncontrollably. Hikari calmly explained that he had redirected the energy from Kiyasuke's kick into the ground itself. Even so, he admitted that Kiyasuke's power had genuinely impressed him. Then Hikari revealed the reason why he had 3 horns while most devils only had 2. The number of horns on a devil's forehead represented their power. The more horns a devil had, the stronger they were. Hearing this suddenly reminded Keiji about the white demon. That monster had 4 horns, which meant the white demon was actually a devil too, and far stronger than even Hikari. Kiyasuke could already feel how monstrous Hikari's aura truly was. The difference between them was simply too massive. He understood now that he never stood a chance against someone like Hikari. Elizabeth tried to protect Kiyasuke, but a single warning from Hikari filled her with so much fear that she could not even move anymore. Hikari slowly walked toward Kiyasuke, preparing to slaughter him, but suddenly, Keiji jumped in and kicked Hikari away. Even though his body was badly injured, he still refused to let his brother die in front of him. At that moment, Kiyasuke remembered something from his childhood. Back then, a group of chickens used to bully him. They mocked his father Grunts, calling him a disgusting man who cheated on his wife with other women. Kiyasuke became angry and tried to fight them, but he was badly beaten instead. Then a hen named Kazumi appeared and tried to protect him, but the bullies started attacking her too. Kazumi desperately cried out for Kiyasuke to help her, but Kiyasuke became scared and ran away. The next day, because he secretly loved Kazumi, he tried talking to her again, but Kazumi completely ignored him. That same day, Grunts appeared before Kiyasuke and told him that as a descendant of the Gashikadori family, he needed to become strong enough to fight demons. Kiyasuke felt confused by those words, so Grunts took him to a city and showed him something unforgettable. Right in front of Kiyasuke's eyes, Grunts defeated a powerful demon with a single kick. That moment inspired Kiyasuke deeply. From that day onward, he began training under his father to become stronger. But now, standing before Hikari, Kiyasuke felt completely helpless. All his hard work, all his suffering, and all his training felt meaningless against such an overwhelming monster. As he watched Keiji continue fighting Hikari despite his injuries, Kiyasuke could not understand it. In his eyes, Keiji was weaker than him, and if even Kiyasuke could not defeat Hikari, then Keiji had absolutely no chance. Meanwhile, Hikari himself was not seriously attacking Keiji because his mother had specifically ordered him not to kill him. But deep inside, Hikari felt jealous. He hated the fact that his mother showed interest in that chicken. Right at that moment, Morio suddenly appeared and attacked Hikari from behind. Seeing Keiji still alive, Morio immediately hugged him tightly, unable to hide his happiness and relief. Keiji quickly asked where Pyoko was. Morio then revealed that she was currently together with the octopus demon. Morio became furious at Hikari for capturing good demons and forcing them to attack humans. Without hesitation, he charged straight at Hikari in anger. But Hikari was far too powerful. With almost no effort, Hikari grabbed Morio and threw him aside like he was nothing more than trash. Morio crashed violently into the ground, coughing blood. Even after suffering so many injuries, Keiji still rushed forward to fight Hikari again. Seeing this made something inside Kiyasuke finally change. Until now, Kiyasuke believed true strength only meant having more power than others. But as he watched Keiji continue fighting despite his broken body, Kiyasuke finally understood what real strength truly was. It was the courage to keep fighting for the people you loved, even when you were scared. Keiji's determination became Kiyasuke's motivation. At that moment, the egg inside Kiyasuke's body began glowing once again. The energy coming from it became stronger and stronger until suddenly the egg exploded with power, just like what had happened to Keiji before. As Keiji finally became too injured to continue fighting, Hikari slowly walked toward him, planning to capture him alive. But suddenly, Hikari was struck by a powerful kick from behind. Kiyasuke had awakened his SS2 form. A massive aura surrounded his body as energy exploded around him non-stop. Even Keiji stared in shock at how different Kiyasuke looked now. He looked faster, stronger, and overflowing with endless energy. Even Hikari looked surprised for the first time. What confused him the most was that he had not even sensed Kiyasuke's attack coming. Kiyasuke then asked Elizabeth to quickly find his father Grunts. After hearing that, Elizabeth immediately left the battlefield. Meanwhile, Kiyasuke attacked Hikari at unbelievable speed. Thanks to his SS2 form, Kiyasuke was finally strong enough to overpower Hikari in battle. Hikari became enraged and suddenly grew dozens of tentacles covered with razor-sharp blades. The deadly tentacles attacked Kiyasuke from every direction, but Kiyasuke was simply too fast now. He easily dodged every attack. Then Kiyasuke came up with a plan and hid beneath the fallen concrete around the battlefield. Hikari destroyed the area trying to find him, but suddenly Kiyasuke burst high into the sky. From above, he unleashed a brand new special move, Ultra Explosive Kick. The attack crashed directly into Hikari and created a gigantic explosion that shook the entire warehouse. For the first time, Hikari was finally defeated. During his final moments, Hikari realized something painful. The reason Kiyasuke, KG, and Grunts had become so strong was because they fought for each other like a true family. That bond was what defeated him. As those thoughts filled his mind, Hikari suddenly remembered an old forgotten memory of a mysterious woman from his past. But right after that, something strange happened to his power core. His destroyed body parts suddenly began regenerating again. Flesh rapidly formed around him as he transformed into a terrifying second form. At the same time, far away from the battlefield, the Devil Mother was secretly watching everything unfold with a smile on her face. Meanwhile, Elizabeth finally spotted the Kappa demon kidnapping Grunts and carrying him away. She immediately chased after him. The Kappa demon could fly through the air and kept mocking Elizabeth by calling her a dumb chicken. Elizabeth became seriously offended by the insult. She quickly ordered her AI assistant Sophia to activate flying mode. Suddenly, jet engines appeared on her back, allowing her to fly at incredible speed as she chased after the Kappa demon through the jungle skies. But then the Kappa demon suddenly jumped deep into a river below. Elizabeth hesitated. She knew fighting underwater would put her at a huge disadvantage. Back at the warehouse, Kiyasuke was now being forced to retreat from Hikari's second form. Hikari had become far stronger and faster than before. Suddenly, Hikari launched an umbrella-shaped arm that expanded into a massive cage, trapping Kiyasuke inside. Inside the cage, countless sharp tentacles attacked him non-stop from every direction. But then Kiyasuke closed his eyes. Instead of relying on sight, he focused entirely on his senses. One by one, he began dodging every attack perfectly. Hikari became furious because no matter how many attacks he launched, he could no longer hit Kiyasuke. Then Kiyasuke suddenly climbed upward and blasted a hole through the cage before escaping. The moment he got out, he launched another ultra-explosive kick directly at Hikari. Hikari's head exploded instantly, but both KG and Kiyasuke were horrified to see that Hikari was somehow still alive even without his head. That could only mean one thing. Hikari had another vital spot somewhere else in his body. As Hikari regenerated once again, Kiyasuke noticed a glowing orb near Hikari's chest area hidden inside his body. At the same time, the truth about Hikari was finally revealed. Hikari himself no longer wanted to fight anymore, but the Devil Mother was controlling him against his will and forcing him to continue fighting. Because of that control, Hikari completely lost his mind and went berserk. He attacked Kiyasuke like a wild monster, trying to kill him and present his body as a gift to the Devil Mother. As Keiji watched the battle unfold, Morio suddenly returned and grabbed Hikari from behind to stop him, but Hikari only laughed. In the next moment, his sharp tentacles pierced straight through Morio's body. Then Hikari brutally tore Morio apart into pieces. Keiji froze in complete shock as he watched his dear friend die right in front of him. The pain and grief inside Keiji became unbearable. His egg started shaking uncontrollably, and at that moment, his own SS2 form awakened. This was exactly the moment the Devil Mother had been waiting for all along. Filled with rage and sorrow, Keiji glared at Hikari with murderous eyes. Now, he wanted revenge. But Hikari was still convinced that even now, Keiji was no match for him. He stood confidently, believing that his overwhelming power and endless regeneration made him invincible. However, before he could react, Keiji suddenly shot forward at incredible speed and passed straight through Hikari's body, leaving a massive hole in his chest. For a brief moment, everyone froze in shock. Yet Hikari didn't fall. The destroyed flesh around the wound immediately began to regenerate, repairing itself at an unnatural speed. Within seconds, the hole had almost completely disappeared. Hikari smirked, knowing that ordinary attacks could never defeat him. Keiji refused to give up. He continued launching one devastating attack after another, tearing apart Hikari's body and inflicting heavy damage. Pieces of flesh flew everywhere, but no matter how badly Hikari was injured, his body simply regenerated again and again. At the same time, Kiyasuke joined the battle. Gathering all of his strength into his legs, he unleashed a powerful explosive kick aimed directly at Hikari's power core. The impact created a massive shockwave that shook the battlefield. Unfortunately, even such a powerful attack failed. Kiyasuke's kick couldn't even penetrate Hikari's skin. Hikari's body had become far too durable. Realizing that ordinary attacks would never work, Keiji decided to risk everything. Taking a deep breath, he began gathering every last bit of energy inside his body. The air around him trembled as his power reached its peak. Then, with a mighty roar, Keiji unleashed his super breath at full power. A gigantic beam beam of energy engulfed Hikari. The attack was so intense that Hikari's body began melting away. His skin, muscles, and bones slowly disintegrated under the overwhelming heat. Yet even then, his regeneration continued fighting back, rebuilding his body before it could completely disappear. Seeing this, Keiji realized brute force alone wasn't enough. He narrowed the beam into a single concentrated point and carefully aimed it at the center of Hikari's chest, where the power core was hidden. The focused beam pierced through Hikari's defenses and struck the core directly. Cracks instantly spread across the core's surface. Hikari's eyes widened in fear. For the first time, he realized he might actually lose. The core tried to regenerate, but Keiji's attack was faster. With a loud shattering sound, the power core exploded into countless fragments. The regeneration finally stopped. Hikari collapsed to his knees. After an exhausting battle that pushed everyone to their limits, Keiji had finally defeated him. Meanwhile, Elizabeth had her own problem to deal with. Using her electric pipe, she released powerful currents into the river. Bright sparks spread through the water, forcing the hidden Kappa to swim out in panic. The moment she spotted Grunts, she quickly grabbed him and rushed back toward Keiji and the others. However, she still had no idea that it was Keiji who had awakened the dark power hidden inside the egg and used it to defeat Hikari. Just when everyone thought the battle was finally over, something unexpected happened. Hikari slowly stood up again. The group immediately prepared for another fight. But this time, something was different. There was no rage in his eyes, no hatred, no desire to destroy. Instead, he looked heartbroken. As he stood there silently, forgotten memories suddenly flooded his mind. Images from his past began flashing before his eyes. He remembered a time when he wasn't a monster. He remembered being a kind and cheerful little boy. He remembered living happily with his hardworking single mother, who loved him more than anything in the world. Even though they struggled financially, she always smiled for his sake. She worked tirelessly every day just to give her son a better life. For Hikari, she was his entire world. Then tragedy struck. One day, a terrible car accident took his mother's life. His happy future was stolen in an instant. The last thing he remembered was his mother's desperate cries as darkness consumed him. The unbearable pain of losing her shattered his heart. Lost and vulnerable, he eventually encountered the mysterious Devil Mother. Pretending to care for him, she slowly manipulated him and took advantage of his grief. She transformed his sorrow into hatred, his loneliness into rage, and eventually, she turned him into a devil. Back in the present, tears slowly rolled down Hikari's face. Thanks to the chickens, the darkness controlling him had finally been broken. For the first time in years, he remembered who he truly was. But before he could say anything, his exhausted body gave out. Hikari collapsed unconscious onto the ground. The chickens stared in complete shock. None of them had expected the terrifying enemy they had fought so desperately to be hiding such a tragic past. Nearby, Morio somehow remained alive, driven solely by his incredible will to survive. Despite his own injuries, he slowly stood up, walked over to Hikari, and carefully lifted him into his arms. Without hesitation, he decided to take him to a hospital. Even after everything that had happened, the Devil Mother remained dissatisfied. Watching from afar, she wasn't impressed by Keiji's victory. Instead, she smiled. She believed Keiji possessed far greater potential than he had shown so far. Then she began speaking about a mysterious individual, a man who was likely controlling everything from the shadows, a mastermind hidden behind countless disasters. The next morning, Hikari finally woke up. As he opened his eyes, he found himself surrounded by the chickens. Overwhelmed with guilt, he immediately apologized. His voice trembled as he begged for forgiveness from both the chickens and the humans he had hurt. He explained that none of it had been his choice. The one responsible was the Devil Mother. Her true name was Kyugon. Kyugon was the one who transformed him into a devil. She erased every memory he had of his real mother and replaced those memories with herself. Then she used the black magic core to alter his heart and mind, making him believe that she was his true mother. At first, Hikari resisted. He knew something felt wrong, but Kyugon subjected him to endless torture, pain, and psychological torment, day after day, week after week, until eventually his spirit broke. After a month of suffering, he finally accepted the lie as truth. From that moment on, he truly believed Kyugon was his mother. Hikari then revealed an even darker secret. Kyugon wasn't a true mastermind. There was another devil behind everything, a being far stronger and more dangerous than any demon or devil they had encountered before. This mysterious devil was searching for Keiji's egg. However, nobody knew why. According to Hikari, this devil's human name was Gokuma. But throughout the world, he was feared by another name, the White Demon, the very same enemy Keiji had been searching for all this time. Upon hearing this revelation, Keiji's determination grew even stronger. Without wasting any time, he said goodbye to Hikari and the others. His next journey had begun. Somewhere out there, the White Demon was waiting, and so was his missing sister, Sarah. Can Keiji defeat the White Demon and finally bring Sarah home? The answer awaits in Season 2. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.